Hey guys, I am Joel,
And I'm Kenny.
and we're here just wanting to share with you a little bit about how to utilize social media as a youth leader. Over the last few years, social media has become not just a way of life for people, but a normal way of life, especially for our teenagers. And so what we want to do is we want to utilize social media strategically and responsibly in order to be able to reach the maximum amount of students. So Kenny, why don't you share with us some tips on how to utilize social media well?
Yeah, just as Joel said, we've seen this phenomenon, this revolution in social media, and I think it really speaks to the core of humanity, and I think that ought to kind of dictate how we use social media. It's totally okay to use social media for your own purposes, sort of recreationally. Honestly, I'm on social media really purposely in youth ministry. A great example of that is Instagram. I didn't have an Instagram until a few months ago. I had no intention of getting an Instagram. The only reason I got an Instagram was because I looked around and a bunch of our teenagers use Instagram. And so I decided I was going to jump on Instagram. As you look through social media and you kind of correspond on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is out there, Pinterest. I'm not on Pinterest, but there are ladies out on Pinterest. And I guess some guys too on Pinterest. But one of the biggest things that with young adults and students we find is that whatever's going on in their heart kind of gets plastered out on social media. I don't know how many times I've corresponded with a young person and not been able to dig into their kind of what's going on inside. And then I follow them on Facebook or Instagram, and then all of a sudden, I'm getting a whole a resume as to what's going on inside their heart and mind. And it's just this wide open door to see what's going on and to be able to evaluate what's going on in their life. One of the biggest things, the bottom line is to use Instagram or use Facebook or whatever it may be, is to simply engage with students. And there are lots of opportunities to do that. Over and over again, Facebook, students post comments. It's even awkward sometimes how authentic students can be when they're posting things, or on Instagram. It's almost like that shouldn't be public knowledge. Why are you posting that for the world to see? But from a youth ministry standpoint, I love that they are willing to post that because it gives me a wide open door to step into their life and kind of know what's going on.
Right. Yeah, often, students will bare their soul on social media, but be completely closed off in personal life. And so it's important to utilize social media. And what I've always found is that when we do step into students' lives based on something we saw on social media, they tend to be extremely receptive. For some reason, there's kind of this unknown code that if it gets out on social media, it's fair game for conversation. And so, we've really found it to be very effective to be engaged in the social media world, whether it is Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media may come out after this video is filmed.
Right.
But it's our job as youth leaders and youth workers to be engaged in that world, because that's where students really do open up the most. And so, just whatever it may be that you see and that you encounter via social media, feel the freedom and feel even the responsibility to step into their lives. Whether you see things that are exciting and that you want to celebrate with those students, maybe they won an award or they won a game or they got into a college or whatever it may be, whether they are experiencing bullying of any kind, step into that. Whether they are reaching out and asking for help or advice, step into that. The other day, one of the girls who is a part of our youth ministry, she posted on Instagram just a picture logo of a school that she was considering transferring to. And in the comments, on her, what do you call that? Not comments, but caption. The caption for the photo, she said, hey, I'm considering going to this other school. It's a much better education, and so that's obviously appealing. And it's not an opportunity everyone gets. So I'm considering this, but what I'm worried about is leaving my friends. Well, this girl's in 8th grade. So what I know as a 29-year-old, youth pastor is that the friends she's worried about leaving right now are not her friends for life. However, the education she has is going to be with her for life. So I was able to comment on that photo and say, hey girl, if you want my advice, this is what I think. I think you really should consider your education and recognize that your friendships will change throughout your life, but your education won't. And she was very receptive to that advice. She even commented back and tagged me in it and said, hey, Joel Kaufman, I'm going to take that advice. I'm planning to go to this school. And, that was just an opportunity that happened on social media that I would have never had otherwise. And now, this is a girl who I see in the lobby and in the auditorium every single week on Wednesday night, but I don't necessarily have a lot to connect with her on. But because I follow her on social media, now I know a little bit more about her life, and I know about her next steps, and I can ask her about her goals and what she wants to be when she grows up and all those kinds of things. And the platform that comes from that is social media. So there's not only a huge bright side to social media that we've discussed and we want to dive into, but one thing we want to make sure that we kind of discuss during this time is some of the pitfalls and some of the dark sides of social media. So Kenny, you want to share a little bit of caution there?
Yeah, absolutely. As Joel said, there's a dark side. And really, it's an opportunity for us to, as Paul says in the scripture, to live above reproach or to avoid the appearance of evil. Great example that I've used before. I have a younger sister who's a few years younger than me. She's in her late 20s. And she is married, so she has a different last name than me. And she's been very inconsistent in her faith, so sometimes her photos don't always represent Christ-like values often. And so she's got all kinds of bikini photos at the beach, partying, photos that just don't project, obviously, a Christ-honoring lifestyle. She's posting those on Instagram. If Kenny Ortiz goes and likes that photo, the other people who are following me may see my activity, but they don't necessarily know that's my sister. Right. They have no way of knowing. We don't necessarily look alike. So we have students following me on Instagram, or parents or other people in our church or within the context of Mosaic or wherever you may be, and they're looking at me going, why is Kenny Ortiz, a youth leader, someone who preaches to young people on a regular basis, liking and engaging with that inappropriate photo of that beautiful young lady? They have no clue that it's my sister. And so now I've given them an opportunity to judge me in a way that would compromise my ability to minister effectively or my ability to have a platform to preach the gospel. And so, I'm not, I don't know about you, it's not something I ordinarily do is lust or look at my sister inappropriately. I've never done that. However, the other person on the other end doesn't know it's my sister and doesn't realize that. And so it's an opportunity for me to choose, even though I love my sister, may even like some of the photos she posts, I don't want to risk people thinking something's inappropriate. So I choose from abstaining from liking those photos or engaging in those sorts of things.
Yeah, I think the principle is that everything you do on social media is trackable.
Yep.
And somebody's going to be able to see it. It's important to recognize that every photo I like is trackable. Every comment I leave is trackable. Every photo I post is trackable. Every comment on that photo is trackable. The people who are interacting with me, it's all trackable. So I think it's very easy to think that we can compartmentalize our social media life from our other areas of life, whether it be work or places that we volunteer, such as the student ministry world. And, the reality is that it does actually reflect, like how we live on social media literally reflects our student ministry. So what our leaders are doing on social media really does matter. So if you're a leader or a volunteer, we're just asking you to be wise and to be conscious of every post, every picture, every comment, every like, and recognize that this, just like everything else, is an opportunity for you to preach the gospel or for you to live the way that the world lives. And our hope is that we as youth leaders would set an example, as Paul writes to Timothy, that we would set an example for the other believers in faith, life, and purity. And that's what it's all about. So we want to encourage you to engage intentionally in social media. That means that we are interacting with students, that we're interacting with one another, that we're promoting what we're doing at Mosaic students, and that we are doing all of that, recognizing that everything we do is seen. And at the end of the day, God sees it all, but what great accountability to know that our students and their parents also see it as well. So thanks so much. We hope that we all can step into the world of social media and use it as a great platform to minister the gospel to our kids.